Hey, welcome to Living in Provo, Utah. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 tips for getting your home ready to sell, putting it on the market. It's going to be a good video. Let's get after it. First time to my channel, Living in Provo, Utah. While in this channel, we're covering everything about what it's like living in Provo, Utah and the entire Utah Valley area. We're covering everything from Lehigh to the north, Provo Warm in the middle, Spanish Fork, Santaquin on the south, everything in between. And, you know, my name's Scott Walters of Best USA Realty. I have people reach out to me all the time. I absolutely love it. So look, if you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd absolutely love to help you get the information you need so you can make a smooth move to this area. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap on the notification bell so you can stay current every time I drop another video about living in Provo, Utah. So with that, let's get into talking about the top 10 things you must do to get your home before you get your home on the market. Okay, so I'm using my 30 years of experience of being in the real estate market. I started as a mortgage loan officer in 1993, became a licensed real estate agent in 99, and then got my broker's license in 2004, and also had a principal lending manager license for mortgages until I think 2012. So I'm taking these 30 years of knowledge to help you with the things that I'm seeing that people need to do to get their home ready to sell. And I see these things over and over again. A lot of these items you might say, well, duh, I know that. Well, some people don't, because I'm always amazed whenever I go into a house and some of these items are just not done to get it ready to go on the market to sell. So with that, my number one item is clean up the outside. It's amazing to me. I mean, that is your first impression. When someone's going to come look at your house, I've actually had clients that have driven by a home. I'm in the car with them, and you know, there's a bunch of cars on the front lawn, or the house isn't painted very well, like the paint's chipping, and they're like, yeah, well, let's drive on. We're not even going to look at it. That's your first impression. You got to make that first impression look good. So just do a simple cleanup on your yard. Now, I understand if you happen to live in a climate that's a colder climate in the wintertime, you may not be able to do anything. But in the spring, summer, and fall, you can absolutely keep your lawn mowed nice, keep the weeds out of the flower beds, keep your trees and bushes trimmed up, just make it look nice. Now, that's tip number one. Now, tip number two is clean up the inside. You know, I've shown literally thousands of homes over my lifetime, and it's always amazing to me to go in a house and just see it cluttered and just stuff everywhere, clothes on the floor. I went in one house one time, you couldn't even walk anywhere without stepping on stuff. Now, I also understand, I mean, I have some grace for this, because I've certainly had clients that just would not clean up, and I understand that. But if you at all can, get your inside cleaned up, because I mean, that's your second impression. As soon as people walk in the front door, I remember hearing a stat one time that people make that buying decision once they walk through that front door, like within the first 10 seconds of walking in the house. So if it's cluttered and a miss, you're gonna lose some opportunities. So make sure you have the inside cleaned up. Okay, tip number three is paint the outside if needed. I mean, if you've got chip paint in places, clean it up. The places I see most often on the exterior that need some painting, generally around that front door entryway. You know, the sun's beating on that paint, causing it to chip. Get a wire brush, wire it down, brush it down, put a fresh coat of paint on there. I also see it generally around like the garage doors. Oftentimes there's wood that goes around that garage door and it begins to chip with the sun beating on it. So that's not a big job. It's a super simple thing to do. Again, scrape down that paint, put a fresh coat of paint on there, and just make it look nice and fresh. Tip number four goes right along with tip number three, which is paint the inside. You know, the tip three is paint the outside if needed. Paint the inside. You know, when we walk around our own personal homes, oftentimes we get really used to the dirt and grime that are on the corners, especially if you have a bunch of little kids and they're running their hands along the wall, or right where you grab the doorknob and they're grabbing the inside of the door, and you get a lot of dirt in those areas. Just pay attention to that. Sometimes you might be able to actually just clean it off, like with the washcloth, and wipe that up. But other times you're going to need to paint. A fresh coat of paint is relatively inexpensive when it comes to doing a preparation of getting your house ready to sell. So I'd say go through your house with a critical eye. Look at those baseboards, touch them back up. Oftentimes I'll see baseboards are white and they have a lot of scuff marks on them. Paint them up. If those walls are dirty, paint them again. There's nothing like freshening up a house with a fresh coat of paint. Also, when it comes to painting, besides painting to clean up, dirty or dingy paint, you need to neutralize paint. So if you've got some really bright, bold colors in your house, I absolutely recommend that you neutralize it. Years ago it seemed like the neutral color was tan. Now it seems like it's more some sort of shade of a gray or a white. But if you've got a yellow wall and a maroon wall and a green wall, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get more money if you neutralize it. People come in, they'll see those bright, bold colors. They may hate them. You may love them, and that's fine while you live there. Paint whatever color you want and enjoy it. But when you go to sell it, I highly recommend to neutralize it, because those people, a lot of buyers will come in, they'll see the paint, they'll hate it, they won't want it. They can't see fixing it, which is absolutely ridiculous to me, because it's a really, really easy fix. So just take that completely off the board by going ahead and painting it neutral before you put the home on the market. Okay, tip number 5 has to do with flooring, especially if you have carpet. Again, this is something you've got to look at with a critical eye. Maybe you're so used to the carpets being matted down. Maybe you got a big kind of a trailway through your main parts of your house, and you've just kind of grown used to it and don't pay attention to it. Maybe you need some outside person to come look at it. Maybe you can get away with just doing a nice carpet cleaning and calling in a professional company to get it cleaned. But sometimes you need to get that carpet changed out if you want to sell your house. Probably about 15 years ago, I had a house that was actually pretty new for the time. It was only a couple of years old. Sweet older lady built this home, but she put some very dated stuff in it, and that included the carpet. Pink rose-colored carpet throughout the entire house, where everything else was completely up to date for the time. Tons of showings on the house. No offers. Almost all of the feedback that we got came back and said, nice home, we can't stand the carpet. It's an interesting thing. You have two types of people in my experience. Those who can envision a house, how it can look, what they can make it, and those who can't. They can only see what it is now, and they can't imagine the improvements or how it could look. It seems to me like there's more people in that latter category than the first. And I think that's what we experienced with that house. There's just a lot of people who could not envision coming in there and putting in new carpet and making it look nice. I had a heartfelt conversation with her. In fact, one of the things that I do when I consult with people, one of the first questions I ask them is, do I have your permission to be brutally honest with you? It takes that sometimes. I've got to be really brutally honest with people in order to get the home priced, or in order to get some repairs done that need to get done in order to get it sold. And so I had that honest conversation with her. I said, your home's gorgeous, but the carpet's horrible. People do not like the carpet. I know several carpet companies that will come and put this carpet in here, and they'll delay getting their payment until the house is sold. And so we put in new carpet. That house sold the very next week, and we got above list price on that home. So putting brand new carpet in a home is a huge step to getting a little more money for your house, but also making it sell quickly if that's needed. Sometimes all you need to do is just a really good carpet cleaning. Hey, if you're finding these videos helpful about what it's like living in the Provo, Utah area, then I want you to like, subscribe, and tap on the notification bell so you can stay up to date every time I drop another video about living in the Provo, Utah area. I'm dropping videos weekly. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what some of your best tips are for getting a house ready to sell. And also just make a comment down below and let me know what other real estate and mortgage tips videos you'd like to see me make in the future. Okay, so as I work up my list, I'm kind of getting to the items that are a little more expensive. And sometimes these things need to be done, and sometimes they don't. Just depends upon what your goals are. So item number 6 is renovating small bathrooms. Oftentimes those are pretty cheap and really are nothing more than some paint and maybe some cheap new vinyl on the floor, or some of the new laminate floorings. I've gone through several homes where all we did is paint the inside there, and just there's such small areas that you're going to spend maybe $100 on some new flooring, some new laminate flooring, put on that floor and just make it look really fresh and new and clean. That's all you need to do. Sometimes you can even paint the cabinets, the bathroom cabinets, for not much money, and probably go to a counter. Well, I've done this before, not probably. I've gone to places like a cabinet store and found some what do they call remnants. So they're just big pieces that were left over from a job, and they're big enough to cover like a small vanity. And you can have them come in, pop off the old vanity, put a brand new beautiful vanity on top, and just totally update the look. And I've done that for like $150 or even less. So those are some things to consider. It's not always necessary, but it's one thing to consider, because for sure bathrooms are one thing that sell a house. People love having very clean, fresh, updated bathrooms. Item number 7 is also something that is not always something that's necessary to do, but is something to consider because you might make more money if you do it. That is renovating the kitchen. Now, I don't generally recommend like doing a full gut job on a kitchen remodel. Generally, you're just not going to recoup the cost that it takes to do that. But there are some things you can do. You can find some very competent cabinet refinishers. So if you've got some, if you're a newer house, you probably don't need to do one thing. But if you're a home that's 25, 30 years old, you probably have cabinets in there that are probably really good condition, but they're dated in their color. For example, if you have something like a honey oak color, a lot of people just don't like that color, and you can have a professional company come in there, and from between $2,500 and $3,500, they will refinish those cabinets in a beautiful, updated, very durable paint, and totally update the look of your entire kitchen. And then you can do the same thing with the countertops. Sometimes you don't need to. Maybe your countertops are fine, but that's where you're going to spend some more money. Those countertops are probably going to cost you $5,000 or more, so that's where you just need to kind of pencil out, does it make sense? And that's where you can consult with a professional on whether it's going to make sense to do that much of renovation, how much money you're likely to get back out of it. But generally, if you update that kitchen, you're going to get quite a bit more out of that home. I had a rental property. I had it for 14 years. I sold it last year, and I looked at all the comparables in the area. It told me that I probably could sell that home for about $470,000 in its current condition. It was a nice home, but it was very dated. It was like, 25 years old approximately. So it had a lot of stuff that was great and beautiful new in there 25 years ago, but it's stuff that people didn't want in a house today. They had put in some pretty nice hardwood floors, but they also had a checkerboard tile pattern right up next to it. So just some things that didn't flow very well, looked kind of weird. And so I actually made the decision to go ahead and rip up all that flooring and just put in one solid, consistent flooring throughout. Brought in a company to update those cabinets, as well as put in new fixtures in the kitchen and put in the solid surface countertops. And it cost a little bit of money, and I put new carpet throughout the whole house, and of course repainted the whole thing. The only remodel thing I did was it had just a pony wall for the railing. Instead of having a railing for the stairs, it was just a half wall, and those are really pretty ugly. So we tore that down, and for $700, put in a beautiful railing with the wrought iron in between it and a beautiful wood top on the top of it. And so I spent around $25,000 for that, was able to sell it for $557,000. But I had done my research. I could see that if I could make those adjustments, those improvements for about $25,000, I guessed between 20 and 25 is what it would take, and that's what it did take. I figured by doing that, I could get somewhere over $550,000 for the home, and we did. We got $557,000. What you have to determine is it worth it to you? Do you have the time and resources to put that level of a remodel into it in order to get the home ready to sell? Sometimes maybe you don't have the time. Maybe it's just easier for you to just get the price at the $470, sell it, and be done. You don't have to do all the work. I mean, it did take me about 3 months to do that work. And so there was 3 months that it could have been on the market, that I could have had it sold and had money sooner without all the extra work. So those are things that you need to consider when you're wanting to get absolute top dollar and getting your house ready to go on the market. Definitely recommend that you can consult with a professional that's done it before, so that you can just help you realize whether it's worth it for you to put that much money into the house. In my case, it absolutely was. Okay, tip number 8 doesn't have anything to do with actually doing updates on the house like paint or carpet, but actually has everything to do with pricing the home correctly. I'm hearing that in Utah currently that I think it was well over half, I can't remember the exact number, but well over half the homes are having some pretty serious price reductions after being on the market for 30 days. Generally, what that tells me is they just didn't price the home properly to begin with. One of the biggest keys that you can do, regardless of whether you do any fix-ups at all, is price the home properly. If you price it properly, your home, I can guarantee you, will sell on whatever market you're experiencing, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. The way to understand whether you're in a seller's market or a buyer's market, this is the general thing that you need to understand. It's something called absorption rate. So how many houses are on the market and how many are selling each month? How many homes is the market absorbing each month? How many are selling? So generally, if you have somewhere between a 5 and 6 month supply of homes, that's considered a balanced market. Anything less than that is considered a seller's market, which is what the last 3, 4, 5 years have been. It's been a very strong seller's market because inventory levels have been below 1 month. That means, if we didn't put any of their homes on the market, there would be nothing to buy within a month. And so inventory was so tight, it was causing such high demand, such home price increases because the demand was there and the supply was very restricted. If you go over a 6-month supply, that's when you start getting into a buyer's market because there's just more homes than there are buyers for it. And so that's when you see sellers doing lots of seller concessions, offering their things to help incentivize people to buy the home. Or another thing that can also curb demand, of course, is interest rate increase. If the mortgage interest rates go up, then it decreases the amount of buyers that can buy a house. And so that, in effect, makes it so that sellers need to do things in order to incentivize buyers to pick their house over someone else's house. So anyway, just a couple things for you to consider. Okay, I have one thing I wanted to add to this on the pricing discussion. This is my very crude graph that I put together. On the bottom here, this is what I call the condition line. Going up, it's called the price line. And when these things get closer together, that is where it puts you in the market. So the better your condition is and the better your price is, that means that's where your house is going to be inside the market. Anytime you have anything that's clear out here, maybe the price is way too high and the condition isn't very good, or the condition isn't very good, that means you're on the outside of the market. That means you're most likely not going to sell. Once you get closer to this line here, that means you're having showings on your house but no offers. That generally means you're really close, but you're just one thing away from getting your home inside the market. And that may be a price adjustment, or it may be the case like I told you about the carpet. The house carpet story is you just needed to make an adjustment by changing out the carpet. And that's where a professional can help you decide what you need to do so that you're inside the market. Anybody can put your home on the market, but professionals can help you put your home in the market so you can sell your home for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Okay, so I realize that today's smartphones are really good, take really good pictures, but my tip number 9 is use a professional photographer for professional photos on your home. I had a friend recently had a home and did all the pictures themselves on a smartphone, and it just made the rooms look tiny. The home was actually pretty big. The rooms were great. I was wondering why it wasn't selling, if there's some things you could do. I actually suggested to him, you need professional photos. The photos you've got just are not showing how beautiful and spacious your home are. And actually, they had already decided they were going to do that before I even told them, and they actually got those pictures done. It was a night and day difference between doing their own photos and having professional come in with their eye and their ability and their better cameras to get you some beautiful pictures of that home. Absolutely one of the top things you can do to help get your home ready before you put it on the market. Okay, my last tip, this is tip number 10, hire a professional. You can certainly do it on your own. I'm never going to say you can't do it on your own, but if you need professional help, make sure that you hire a seasoned pro. Again, I've got 30 years in the real estate and mortgage industries. I understand the market inside and out. In this particular industry, especially as real estate agents, there's a turnover every couple of years. So there's a lot of agents right now, great people, great agents, but they have never experienced a down market. This is like the first time they're experiencing homes not flying off the shelf, in 24 hours like they were the last 2 or 3 years. And so this is all new to them. So to kind of help get through those growing pains, you may want to consider working with a seasoned professional who's been through multiple markets, understands the markets and how to get your home in the market, again, so that you can sell for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. So look, if you're looking to make the move in 9 days or 90 days to the Provo, Utah area, or if you're looking to sell, reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I would absolutely love to help you make that move to the Provo, Utah area, or to make a move, if you already live here, to make a move within this area. I've helped literally hundreds of families all throughout Utah County and even Salt Lake County and Juab County, just basically all up and down the Wasatch Front. I'd love to help you too. So, hey, if you're finding these videos helpful on the tips and what it's like to live in Utah Valley, I want you to like this video, click on the subscribe button. Make sure to tap that notification bell so you can stay current every time I drop another video about what it's like living in Utah Valley. And just make a comment down below. Let me know what video I'd like to see next. What are some things that you want to know as a buyer or seller that you could use some professional advice and tips on, and I can make a video on that. And we'll catch you on the next video.